what's up? This is Patrick. Welcome to episode 27 of the Double ETF podcast, Everything Except the Football. I hope you guys are doing great. Today, this is part 2 of my conversation with Woody Meachum, the quick and quirky questions, of course. And it was a good talk, some insightful stuff and some pretty funny stuff as well, something for everyone. And that's it. So if you want to join the awesome club, you can join Carly, Kevin, Josh, Nick, Ambags, Carly again, Hector, Tom, and Tony. You can do so at paypal.me/EETFpod. You want to reach us on Twitter, you can do so at EETFpod as well. Same for Instagram, EETFpod, or Gmail, EETFpodcast@gmail.com. That's it. So I hope you enjoy part 2 of my conversation with Woody, the quick and quirky questions. Thanks. All right, so we can switch gears to the quick and quirky questions.
Cool.
All right. First question. Would you rather speak all languages or play all musical instruments?
I would rather play all instruments. Just because music is universal. And while I would love to do both, since you're giving me an if that or type of situation, just being able to pick up anything, music has always been, part of my life. So the any instrument part is interesting just because there are so many instruments. Like right now, my son is wanting to learn it's a Japanese guitar that I can never remember the name of, but it's got 3 strings on it. It's like a shomisu or something like that, which I apologize for butchering the name. And he and I just watched, and again, he's 21, so it's not like he's a little kid, but he's like, I kind of want to learn to play it. And so we watched Kubo and the 2 Strings, that animated movie. And his biggest comment after it was, they didn't say the name of the guitar in the entire movie. I'm like, dude, I don't know. But I'm just like, there's so many instruments out there that just being able to pick it up and know the structure of music and how you're supposed to play and all of those types of things, that's the fascinating part to me.
But that sentence that you just said, you switch instrument with language and it works just as well.
Exactly.
There are so many languages, and, if you can pick up the structure of one language, specific language,
Right. Well, and I guess part of it, so when we found out we were going to Italy, I started Duolingo, and so I started learning Italian. I took Spanish in high school. And so I'm going, oh, okay, it's a Romance language, and I'm seeing the similarities between those.
Yep.
So I feel like I could learn languages. I don't feel like I could pick up every instrument.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I get that. How long did you learn Spanish?
I took it for 4 years in high school.
Okay, so I assume you got good.
No, I didn't. Because the nice thing was the Spanish teacher was also the drama teacher.
Ah, okay.
And so I was more in it just because he was the drama coach or the drama teacher. Okay. And I know enough, like I could get around, but like I can't have a conversation in it. As I like to say, I can read a menu.
Yep.
So.
Well, but your wife, she was an au pair in Italy, so that's not a problem.
She speaks Italian. Yeah. So that's like the first time we watched The Godfather, I was like, what are they? We had the subtitles on. I go, are they right? She goes, yeah, they're right. I'm like, okay, cool.
You had to double check.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, yeah, I'm learning Italian. She'll start spitting out something at me. And I'm like, I'm not that good.
Patience.
Right.
All right. So next question. If you could get a ticket to any show or event, music or sports, what would you like a ticket to? Past or present, anything in history.
Yeah, see, I can't go that far back because I don't, but it would have been when the White Sox won the World Series, that final game.
Okay.
So just again, because it was so long since they'd had one. Yeah. And they were my team and I would have loved to have gone. I just couldn't get a ticket, but to have been there.
What year was that?
That was 2005. So 2005.
Okay.
So I got to go to the parade. So that was actually, the parade was right by my office. So I got to see that.
Okay.
But no, I would have liked to have gone to the game.
Okay. Next question. What is your favorite insect?
I'm going to go praying mantis. There's something about a praying mantis that I've always been fascinated by ever since I was a little kid. And it's not the chopping off their head. Maybe it's just the way that they look. They're just such a unique looking animal with the the females with the arms the way they are.
Mhm.
And plus I was a bit of a, growing up in the country with all the TV stations and all that stuff, there was we'd have the Kung Fu movie on Saturday afternoons.
Okay.
And there was always the different fighting styles. And I remember one of the fighting styles was Mantis style and stuff like that. And so it's just little connections that I can make to things like that.
I think it was Glenn's answer when he was on the show, because he said something like, I like powerful women. So there you go.
I like that.
Shout out to Glenn.
Yes.
All right. So next question. What scene from a movie scarred you for life?
It's a whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that is The Evil Dead. The first one, the Sam Raimi Evil Dead.
Yes.
That movie, and I was in high school when I saw that. That scared the crap out of me. And to the point of everybody's like, no, it's really funny. I'm like, I can't go back and watch it. And I've watched all the like Ash versus the Evil Dead and all of the stuff that have come out after it. But that movie, man, I could not sleep that night.
Yeah, I get that. I don't remember how old I was, but there was something to that movie.
Yeah, because there was one scene where some girl gets stabbed in the foot with a pencil.
Yes.
And, and just like, Gah!
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly which scene. There you go. Good answer. Okay, next question. What is the best nickname you've ever heard? Could be sports, high school, anything.
Yep, it is Rusty Staub.
When he was in Montreal, they called him Le Grand Orange.
Yes, exactly. That's why I didn't want to pronounce it, because I knew you were...
There you go.
Yeah, but that was always the best one for me.
Nice. I did not expect that as an answer, because I think he played for the Mets and the
and
Expos.
I thought he played for the Tigers too, but
that's possible.
I'm trying to remember. But I've just seen he's a first base coach for somebody now.
Okay, didn't know.
Because he was, hold on. So right, yep, he did play for the Mets.
I'll be honest, I thought he was dead.
No. Oh, he did. Oh, then it's not who I thought it was then. No, you're right. He did die. Okay, that's somebody else I saw. Oh, no, but he did play for the Tigers from 76 to 79. So that's probably where I got exposed to him there.
Okay. we fail at Google tonight.
There you go. I didn't look him up because you just asked the name. I was like, that was the name I could remember.
That's all right. Okay, next question. Oh, what would you name your boat if you had one?
Oh, I hate boats. Boats, I would not have a boat. I would not name a boat.
But that would be an awesome name for a boat. I hate boats.
I hate boats. That's what I'm going to name my boat is I hate boats because
boom.
That is to me some of the most waste of time is going out on a boat. The lack of control. If I'm tired of something, I want to leave. If I'm on a boat, I can't leave.
Not true. Well, you could, but it's not ideal.
Not ideal, right? Because my wife has talked about going on a cruise, and I'm like, I just don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, I would get antsy because, like, okay, I know that on good cruise ships, you have gyms and, burn off your energy or something, but I don't know. I think I would get like cabin fever or something,
Yeah. Well, that's why it's called cabin fever.
I guess. Or maybe like a cabin in the woods or something. I don't know where that expression comes from, to be honest.
I'll chalk it up to boats.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good to me. All right. Okay, next question. Where is the worst smelling place you've ever been to?
Okay, it is our farm growing up. So my father... So we had growing up for about, I think 6 years-ish, we had a fruit farm. My father owned a fruit farm, 200-acre fruit farm. He was one of the first people in southwestern Michigan to grow broccoli. So we had about, I think, 20 acres of broccoli. And so we would have to harvest it, and we'd go harvest it, and then you would proportion it and put it into packing boxes, but you had to strip all the leaves off of it. Mm-hmm. And so you take all the leaves then and you put that into what's now called a compost pile, but back then it was just called a pile. But decaying broccoli leaves in the hot summer I could not eat broccoli for probably 15 years because every time I smelled it, I smelled that smell. It's just blah, I can't. Yeah. So
Okay. But how come he was the first to
I don't
do
know.
broccoli? Huh,
He
interesting.
just, because my father went to school, he had his degree in education and agricultural engineering. So he actually taught agriculture at schools
Okay.
when he first got out of school. And then he always wanted to own a farm. And one of the things that I actually really respected about him, because when he bought the farm, it was mainly apples, sweet cherries, grapes for juice grapes, and asparagus.
Okay.
And the thing he always tried to do was do something new and different and grow something, because everybody else was growing apples and grapes and cherries. And so to differentiate himself, he's like, well, it's like he talked about growing cranberries at one time, which in cranberries you make in a bog.
Yes.
And you harvest them by floating them.
Yep.
And he kicked that around for a couple of years and tried to figure out how to do it. But, we were like the main broccoli growers in southwestern Michigan for at least a couple of years. It was pretty fun.
Okay. Okay, so next question. When did you screw everything up, but no one ever found out it was you?
I couldn't come up with a good one for this one.
It's okay.
Because, I can't think of one nothing came to mind on that one. So
no problem. No problem at all. Okay, next question. What is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Well, it's only Tuesday.
That's true.
Well, no, but actually the Bezos thing. So the Bezos with the shepherd that happened today was interesting to me. I'm a space guy, so I like space stuff. And so I've always been super interested in this. And just for all the crap that goes behind with Bezos and Amazon and all of that type of stuff, the innovation with which they did it and how it was different than what Branson is doing. And it's different than what Musk is doing. And just in listening to Bezos talk about how his approach to it was in the reusable marketplace. And because a lot of the comments that I've been hearing have been like, why are these billionaires doing this? They should be helping world hunger and stop global climate and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, Bezos at least has that one group where he's trying to do it. But in this case, he was like, what we're doing now is barnstorming, the equivalent of barnstorming back in the day with airplanes.
Okay.
He goes, it was only rich people that could use airplanes back in the day too. But they figured out a way to commercialize it and bring the cost down and all those types of things. He goes, that's the phase we're in right now. We're in the barnstorming phase. And so that to me, that gave me a different sort of perspective on if they're truly altruistic about this approach, then cool. Because if you're helping on Earth, but then you're helping the greater good, I want to think that that's truly what's happening.
I'm wondering how space travel could help the commoners, like the common people, like would it make international travel faster?
Potentially. So I don't read a lot, but when I do read, I like what I read. The book that if everybody asks me what's your favorite book, I always go to this book called Flight by Chris Kraft. Chris Kraft was the first mission control for the Mercury astronauts.
Okay.
And again, similar to what I talked about with the commitments in Sing Street, the book is about building an organization and building a system. And where you go back to Kennedy's speech about when he says we're going to go to the moon and do the other things, and we do them not because they're easy, but because they're hard. So if everybody always tries to think about the outcome of something, well, what am I going to get out of it? And it doesn't always have to be that way for you to do something. Sometimes you just should do stuff to do stuff. Who knows what's going to come out of it? But like without the space program, you wouldn't have Velcro.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's some of these things I personally don't care what the outcome is, because whatever the outcome is what the outcome's going to be.
Okay.
And so, we could spend money doing this, or we could spend money doing that. Well, yeah. I was like, do you have an answer for world hunger? Do you have an answer for cutting down the greenhouse gases that actually could be done with money? Because right now the problem is major corporations and major countries that are causing the problems.
Yes.
All the money in the world isn't going to fix it.
Yeah, it's growth, no matter what.
Right.
And that's why we are where we are now.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I understand people who say like what you just said, you could use that money to, solve Earth problems, I guess. But would it work if they did that,
Yeah, no, right.
We don't
it
know.
could, right. It could, but then also like he gave,
maybe not.
yeah, but like he gave Bezos gave $100 million to Van Jones and $100 million to Jose Andres, to their organizations. And Jose Andres' thing is all about feeding people. And Van Jones's thing is all about uplifting people.
Okay.
So he's putting some of his money there. Now, again, would I love him to go to Flint, Michigan and fix their water problem because they have I would love somebody to just go do that.
Yes.
That seems like an easy fix, but there's some reason people aren't doing that. And I don't know why that is.
Yep. No, so, neither do I. Yes. Yeah, we're not going to solve
the world problems here.
Not tonight.
Yeah.
Not tonight. All right. Okay. So next question and the last one for the quirky questions, part 1, if you want.
Okay.
If you were given a 1-minute ad slot during the Super Bowl, what would you fill it with? Speaking of solving world problems.
I know. Honestly, so I'm going to promote a product then in this case. So the Calm, are you familiar with the Calm app?
Yes.
CALM. I've loved their spots that they put out where they're basically like, they don't do anything except have the Calm logo and the little thing that just spins for 30 seconds. I would run that as just an ad because the Super Bowl is so nuts and it's all about the commercials and all about that stuff. Is honestly just everybody calm down for like a minute. Just relax.
Yes.
Because everybody is so freaking stressed all the time. It's just chill out for just a minute.
Yeah. That's what should be on billboards.
Yeah.
Just
relax.
Yep. All right. So are you good for some overtime?
Sure.
Okay. So question 1. You are going back in time and wind up face to face with 15-year-old you. You have 10 seconds before you travel back to the present day. What do you tell your younger self? And I heard you sigh.
Well, yeah, because this was the one where invest in Microsoft.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it goes
back. I mean, it was one of those things where, so I was part of the internet, the first internet bubble, where everything was big. I didn't make any money. And it was one of those things where I still kick myself of going, dude, you could have thrown $100 in on any one of those stocks and be a millionaire now.
Yeah.
And that would be the one thing, and just go, invest in Microsoft.
Yes. And then you have 9 seconds left.
The 9 seconds of going, no, seriously.
Yes. Microsoft.
Or Apple.
Yes.
Either one of them, you'll be fine.
Yes. Or Bitcoin in 2009 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Whenever that started. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Next question. If you could live in anyone's head for 15 minutes, a la being John Malkovich, who would you choose?
That would be my wife.
Okay.
I want to live in her head.
That was Glenn's answer as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Because I just want to know what she's thinking. Because it would help me understand, I think, more of what she's dealing with. Because even though we talk a lot and those types of things, you don't always truly know what somebody is saying is right or not.
Yes.
And not right as like right or wrong, but is truly what they're feeling, or are they filtering what they're telling you? So being able to be in there, and if you could process it that way, I think it would make me a better husband.
Yeah, that's true.
So, which I spend the most time with her, so I would want that to be better.
Yes.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Which is why I'm not making the show this week, is because she and I are going away for the weekend up to Milwaukee to see the White Sox play the Brewers. And then we're going out to, we're going to go to the art museum and have dinner and just chill. So
yeah. Are you a big art guy?
No, but she's not a big baseball person.
Okay. Compromise.
There you go.
Sounds good. Okay, next question. You are on death row. Tomorrow it's curtains, but you get to choose the way you will be executed. No matter the logistics, you can go big or small. Or, you can go, pyrotechnics or whatever. How do you want to go?
In my sleep.
That's the most popular answer.
Yeah, that's the one, because I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to blaze a glory. If not, it's going to be, I would say, like a Suicide Squad situation of, strap on something and go take out a bad guy, or at least do something heroic as the last thing. But no, ideally, I don't want to know that I'm going. So,
all right, yeah, Sounds good. Okay, next question. Your superpower is that you can give phobias to people. So what would you make people afraid of?
I can't. I'm trying to make sure that I'm adhering to your rules. So what would I make people?
What rules?
Well, I was going to say Donald Trump. Just make everybody afraid of Donald Trump.
Okay.
That would make life easier. But
True.
But truly afraid of. That was a rough one. I gave that one some thought. Things that I would want to make somebody afraid of. I don't want people to be afraid of things.
Is it because you don't want to intervene too much, or?
Yeah, because it's because a phobia is something that causes fear in people, and I don't necessarily want fear is such a stifling experience, because fear, anxiety, those types of things are the things that keep people from doing things. So I know you're trying to do this in a quirky and a fun way, but I take that kind of thing fairly seriously in my life about going, so many people don't do things because they're afraid.
But what about making them afraid of bad things?
Most people already are.
I mean, are you afraid of calling someone an asshole, for example?
Sometimes, yes.
Depends on the other guy.
Right. And I wouldn't want to say something like afraid to fail, because most people are going to, fail at most things anyway.
Okay. I didn't think of that.
It's a, because it's even like things like, I don't know. To me, that is a very complex question.
Oh, yeah, it can be, yeah. But I mean, I don't know if it will help, but my answer would be greed.
But sometimes greed is good.
Oh, there goes Gordon Gekko.
Exactly. Right.
Excessive greed. How about that?
But sometimes excessive greed can be good, depending on what that greed means.
Well, yeah, but like who needs 150 billion? That's more than, half of Europe.
Right. But I don't know if that's being done out of greed, though. Or is that being done, because that could be
then
motivation not to fail.
Yeah, but then why doesn't he give better conditions to his workers in the warehouses?
Well, that's a totally different animal. Like, because Bezos was basically going, I want to thank everybody that works at Amazon today. And I'm like, bro, then let them unionize.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's why I don't have a good quick answer for what would I make everybody afraid of? Because
but I mean, I get what you're saying though. Like if I somehow made people afraid of greed, I'm guessing that it would have bad consequences as well. But I think I would be ready to live with that, because I like to assume that the good would outweigh the bad in that case.
You would like to think, and that's always
yes.
So I'm one of these. So I love the Twilight Zone.
You're Switzerland.
Well, sort of, but the Twilight Zone, because the Twilight Zone are all those parables on wanting something and then the opposite happens, or what I want to read all the books, but I break the glasses. So as much as you want to do that, or even like somebody goes, if you had 3 wishes, what would your 3 wishes be? And I always go, so I'm a Dungeons and Dragons player.
Mm-hmm.
And so within Dungeons and Dragons, a genie is a specific monster.
Okay.
And it always says, like, with the wishes, something bad will happen. Huh, and so when you try to think through the perfect wish, you have to go, yeah, but what are the negative outcomes that are going to come out of that? Because something negative is going to happen. Okay. And so, which is the opposite of what your question is, which is if you want something bad to happen to somebody, you're hoping the good comes out of it.
All right.
And so that's why this question I was struggling with quite a bit, because there's maybe I'm too navel gazer for it, but it's like the complexities of causing somebody to fear something, thinking through, and this is my inner workings of my brain, is I think through every pattern that's going to happen with that then, which is part of what I do for a job. Yes. Is I look for data and I look for patterns and I try to predict multiple outcomes from that. Mm-hmm. That's what I do in life. Is, okay, well, if that happens, then what are all of the different possibilities or permutations that could happen? Which, have you been watching Loki by chance?
Yes.
So the multiple timelines.
Yes.
So that's how my brain works, is the multiple timeline scenarios. So that's why I'm going to like this multiverse stuff. So that's where when you wish fear upon somebody, the outcome of that fear And the uncertainty of that fear is why I wouldn't necessarily wish that. So sorry I ducked your question a bit, but I ducked it for a reason.
Yeah, that's okay, because Steve-O did the same thing, more or less. That's okay. That's okay. Well, I mean, as you said, it's a really complex question when you start digging.
Right.
Pretty much. And you mentioned the multiple outcomes. Are you a chess player by any chance?
I am. Not well, but I can play it.
Yeah.
So, which is like why Queen's Gambit was so fun to me.
Yes.
Which I liked that. Because again, you don't really have to play chess, but you just have to know about chess.
Mm-hmm.
But just that's what I've always liked about the game, but I'm just not good enough to play it well.
Yeah. And I don't have the patience.
Right.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I need to work on that. Okay. So next question then. Would you rather win, let's say, $5 million, tax-free, no questions asked, or wake up tomorrow, still in 2021, but 10 years younger?
The money. I would take the money for sure, because 10 years younger to me doesn't mean anything. Because I could still die tomorrow. So, but the $2 million or $5 million, that's an asset that then I have available to do stuff with or give to my family or whatever. So to me, it's a much more actionable asset versus 10 years, because my wife won't be 10 years younger. My kids won't be 10 years younger.
Well, yeah, but you can still hang out with them for 10 more years.
Theoretically.
Yes.
That's the point, is that the 10 years doesn't necessarily. No, say if we all went back in time 10 years and kept the same knowledge.
And invest in Microsoft.
And
Bitcoin.
Right. Then that's a different animal. But just getting 10 years younger, I still looked like this when I was 10 years younger. So that doesn't help. So yeah, money, there's just the money you could do so much more with.
Immediately as well. And
Correct.
You can make other people, benefit from it as well.
Exactly.
So, all right. Yeah, I get that. Okay, next question. What is the best compliment you've ever received? Or the nicest thing anyone has said to you?
I was trying to come up with something. But I can't, and I'm trying to remember who said it because it made me feel so good. But somebody just said, "You're a really good listener," which I don't know that I've ever thought myself that I was, but it's something that I've actually been practicing to, when you're having a conversation with somebody, to not give your point of view to someone, but to just simply ask a question. And I've like stealthily tried to do that, of talking to somebody, but only asking them questions.
Okay.
And challenging back, or because there's so many of the people that want to rush out and tell you exactly what they think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that, sometimes people just need to talk, and being able to just sit and listen to somebody talk, but engage with them. Because a lot of times, if they're not just telling a story, somebody's trying to work through something. Mm-hmm. Normally, even with a story that they're telling about how their day was or the person they ran into, is they're trying to process information. And so I've been trying to work on just listening to somebody. And somebody recognized that. And they're like, "You know what? You're really good at listening to this, or really good at listening to me." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you." I've actually been, but then I didn't go, "Well, I've been trying to work on that, blah, 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 blah." It was just like, "Thank you. I appreciate that." So
also, many people, instead of actually taking part of a conversation, they just waiting for their turn to speak. That's a big difference as well.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Okay, so next question. The opposite end of the spectrum. What is the worst thing anyone has ever said to you? And if it's too personal, we can skip that one, no problem.
No. But I was trying to come up with one of that as well. And I couldn't really come up with a good one that really struck me poorly. Yeah, I couldn't come up with a good one for that. I will probably tomorrow. Like, I'll go, "Oh shit, I said blah, blah, blah."
That's all right. Okay, so next question. What is your hometown best known for?
The round oak stove.
What's that?
It was a pot-bellied stove that they made in the early 1900s.
Okay.
So they're the old-timey wood stoves. Round oak. They made them all there. There's one in Disney World. Like we're at the firehouse in Disney World down in Florida. There's one. and you'll see them every once in a while. They're actually on. We have American Pickers down here. I think you guys have something different in Canada, where the two guys who drive around and look for antiques.
Okay, that's possible. Yeah, I couldn't.
You do. Yeah, there's a show. They mentioned it on Letterkenny before, so I know you guys have a version of it.
Okay.
But round oak stoves, and then the other thing are Heddon fishing lures.
Okay.
So it was a fishing lure company that was there in I want to say the 50s through maybe the early 70s. Which they're like antique and very rare now, but those were the two biggest things that they were there. And then probably the third thing was we had a guy who was a bronze wrestler at the 72 Olympics, I think. His name is Chris Taylor. So he was an Olympic bronze medalist. Now I got to remember, my town is like 8,000 people.
Okay. Well, that's not bad.
So
Still,
it's not,
yeah.
but it's not big, but it's not totally little, but.
Okay. All right. Next question. Name me 3 items on your bucket list.
So to go to Italy, that's one of them that I'm hoping to tick off because I didn't really travel much. I've never been, and that's the other thing too, is I've never been like a list guy like that because most things that I want to do, I will just go do them. Mm-hmm. That's why like I'm really terrible to buy gifts for because it's like if I want something, I will have bought it already. Yes. Except for like, like they're like, well, don't you want a Porsche? I'm like, no, I don't really care about cars. So it would be, all right. So bucket list would be that. I already got to go to Hawaii. That was the other one. Mm-hmm. I would like to perform with a band again.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily need to be in the band, but I would like to go and perform either music or be in a play or musical again. So that is, I've been kicking that around. It's just really hard to do in Chicago because there's so many professional actors that they take everything. Mm-hmm. So it would be something like that. Because bucket lists are just things you want to do.
Yes.
Oh, I want to throw an opening pitch. I want to throw a pitch at a pitch at a baseball game.
Yeah, that's a great shout.
/ sing the national anthem.
Okay.
Which kind of goes back to the other one. I'd like to do one of those things.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good list. Okay, so next question. That's a new one. Is there one question that will instantly tell you whether you can be friends with someone?
Do you watch Letterkenny?
Okay.
And that's been recent because it's just like that's a specific show with a specific humor.
Yes.
That if you watch that and like that, I know we can be friends.
I've never watched that show, but I've seen a few clips on YouTube. It was like 2 guys in a car, like two bros.
The hockey guys.
Yeah, the hockey guys.
The hockey guys. Yep.
And the 2 other guys, they insult them nonstop for like 5 minutes, and it's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great show. I stumbled upon it a couple years ago. A buddy of mine was like, "You've got to watch these clips." And I'm like, all right. And I watched them like, holy cow, this is hilarious. Yes. And then I've just been the show. It's like exactly my kind of humor because I'm from a small town. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what they do is very applicable to kind of like my small town life.
Okay.
And so I don't know. It just makes, and that's again, like if I say that to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I like it. I'm like, all right, well, we can hang out with it. Because then if nothing else, they'll get like most of my references I make. So
okay.
I'm very much a reference-based comedian. So you've got to know it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Next question. What is the best insult you've ever heard?
I don't think about you at all.
Oh yeah. From Mad Men.
Yes.
Nice.
When they're in that thing and he goes, you think about it. He goes, I don't think about you at all. I'm like, I'm waiting to use that to somebody. I just think that is the most degrading. You don't mean anything to me. Ugh.
Mad Men had so many great quotes.
Yeah.
Such a great show. One of my maybe top 5 ever, honestly. Okay. So next one, I have 5 of those left. Are you good?
Okay. Yep.
You're not bored or sleepy?
No, dude, this is fine. I mean, I'd be sitting on my couch watching Northern Exposure tonight anyway. So,
okay.
My wife got me the DVDs, so I've been catching up on Northern Exposure.
I'm not trying to give you shit or anything. You like that show?
I do.
Okay.
So it was one of those, I'm through the first season. And the thing about it is just, it's a calm show, a very calming show to me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I haven't even gotten into like the good years yet.
Okay.
But I'm remembering why I liked it. It's weird. And I like weird.
I only saw, bits of it ages ago, and I'm curious to see what I would think of it now.
Right. Well, that's why, because I had such a positive memory of it.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of those, I was trying to play off, was my memory correct?
Okay, yeah.
And I'm finding so far, yes, it was correct. My memories of why I liked it were right.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Noted. No, because it's the first time I've heard that title in, forever.
Well,
Northern Exposure.
They can't stream it because of the music rights.
Ah, okay.
So that's why it's not out anywhere, is because every episode has a piece of licensed music in it, and they're just never going to be able to pay for it. So that's why she found the DVDs, and I'm like, awesome. But I have 110 episodes. So
that should tide you over for a few days at least.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So next question. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, language not an issue, who would it be?
I could only come up with one, and that would be my grandfather.
Okay.
So my father's father. Mm-hmm. So I never got to meet him, but he was a guy he was born in 1901. So he was too young for World War I. Mm-hmm. He was too old for World War II. And he was a lifelong teacher. So he taught everything. He taught everywhere. And then he was a superintendent of schools. But he set up programs for when World War II was over. He set up programs for veterans, that vocational education that taught them skills.
Okay.
And he was just a super interesting dude. And all the stories I've ever heard about him, just to hang out with him and just just meet him and hear the stories. That to me was that's when we were talking earlier about the reflecting, and the questions made me reflect. It was kind of like, yeah, that's the only dude I'd really want to hang out with and just hang out with him. So, and I would purposely not have my dad there, mm-hmm. because I don't want to bias any of the conversation by my dad being there. So it'd just mm-hmm. be me and my grandfather. I think that would just be a trip.
And what year did he pass?
He passed in 63 or 64.
Okay.
I can never remember. No, he passed away in 63. My parents were married in 64. Something like that. I always get those 2 years back mixed up.
All right. So dinner for 2. That works.
There you go. Yeah. We'll save on the bill.
Yes, exactly. And what would be on the menu?
Oh, I'd ask him, because I don't know what he likes.
Okay.
That'd be the fun part about it. So I'd get to know what he likes to eat. And then I would always I'd always be able to make the dish and go, ask my grandfather like this.
Yeah, that works perfectly. All right. Next question. What's the biggest surprise you've had over the last few months?
How much I don't need to go into the office.
Okay.
While you work at home, you were saying by yourself all the time, it was a new exercise for me of, I don't need to go in every day. I actually am much more efficient and much more effective mm-hmm. in this environment, I feel. So that to me was kind of the biggest surprise, was changing my own personal work dynamic to fit what the new world is, or I don't want to say new normal or any of that stuff, but I really like it. I exercise more because I have more time. Mm-hmm. I have 2 extra hours a day there. I'm not in the car, and
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's true. Okay. Yeah, no, good answer. Next question. What keeps you up at night?
So anxiety keeps me up at night. So I actually have, I have very bad anxiety. So it is literally, the thing that keeps me awake. So you'll see the meme of the brain. There's a meme of a brain and somebody in bed, and then a brain and somebody in bed. And it's always, it's 2 a.m. You should go to sleep. Well, have you thought about what happens if your garage burns down? It's shit like that. It's literally the anxiety that keeps me awake at night.
And the last frame is the person.
Right, the eyes popping open. Yes. Yeah, that is literally me. So, and I'll be sitting there going, why the hell are you thinking about this?
But has medication helped?
I use CBD, actually.
Oh, okay.
And that's helped a lot. So, okay. So I guess my next closest thing to the surprising thing is CBD oil, which sounds like I'm shilling something here, but that has really caused the anxiety attacks to go down a lot.
Okay. Has it been legal since recently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, CBD has always been fine because there's no THC in it.
Okay. I don't know how it works in Illinois.
So it's a synthesized part of cannabis. And so, well, anyway, it's been legal since I've been taking it. So that's all I care about.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Right.
All right. Next to last question. What is your fork in the road moment? The sliding doors moment?
Because again, that's how my brain works. It's all sliding doors and all little forks. So
there has to be one that stands out.
Yeah. It's the coming to Chicago.
Okay.
I really think that was the big one, because otherwise I would have wound up in Detroit probably. And yuck. I don't want to be in Detroit. So I really think that decision to come to Chicago is because that's how I've got everything. I mean, that's where, I got my new name. I got my job. And part of the reason why I always like to tell my job story was most of the time you'll hear this story is I met people that got me to the next level. That's why when you were asking the question about if I go back, when you were saying 10 years younger, I read that initially as I would go back in time 10 years. And I'm going, yeah, but my life is pretty good right now. If I go back 10 years, that's going to change something in my timeline.
Yes.
Which could, would be different. That's where, like, if I hadn't moved to Chicago, I wouldn't have my kids, those kind of things. And so that's why whenever somebody asks about like a time travel thing, so the Chicago thing is definitely I would say the first major fork in the road.
All right. Okay. So, and last question of overtime, what tells you the most about a person?
How they treat a server at a restaurant.
Yes.
It is, or customer service on the phone, but normally it'll be a server at a restaurant. Because normally if you're first, like you're like dating somebody or something like that, it's how do they treat somebody like that? And that'll tell you everything that you need to know about them.
Yes. When I saw that question, that was actually my answer as well. The way they treat people when they don't, quote unquote, have to be nice.
Right.
Right. So yeah, there you go. All right. So that's the questions. I got to say thank you very much for being here tonight.
This was great. You broke me out of my norm.
Oh, okay.
Which I kind of need that every once in a while, is for the old story my father would tell me is, if you drop a glass, it'll break. But if you kick it at the last minute, it won't, because you change the inertia. And sometimes we need these inertia changing events to break it up. So you've created an inertia breaking event for me, which I appreciate.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad I could help. And where can we find you online?
So the best way is actually The Wooden Chef on Instagram. So that's normally where I post that type of stuff. That's where I would say the most active, is that type of stuff. You'll either get to see me eating really good food or making really good food. So,
okay. In one word?
Yeah, The Wooden Chef.
I didn't even know you were on Instagram.
I'm tricky that way.
All right, sounds good. So thank you again very much for being here with us today. And thank you guys for listening. And we will talk again soon. Bye.
Bye.